on this first Sunday of November. It is a spectacular football day in Cincinnati, Ohio. The temperature getting close to 50 degrees. After a murky couple of days, the sun has come out today, and we are ready for football. Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos are in town. The Broncos have won the toss, and they will defer, which means the Bengals will get their hands on the football first. Deep for Cincinnati, number 19, Brandon Tate, along with number 30, Cedric Pearman, and we're underway. Tate at the goal line. Running room. Across the 35 to the 37-yard line. Terrific return by Brandon Tate. Andy Dalton, the Bengals quarterback. His coach put it squarely on his shoulders this week. He has to be better than his 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions over the last 3 weeks, during which Cincinnati went 0-3, and there is no question, Dan, the Cincinnati Bengals are happy to see the month of October go by the boards.
Really, and I think one of the things that really irritated them is that they lost to a pair of rookie quarterbacks in Ryan Tannehill and Brandon Whedon. From the 36-yard line.
Ben-Jarvis, Green, Ellis. Out across the 40 to about the 41-yard line. Andy Dalton and the Bengals. Dalton working with a new center today. Trevor Robinson replacing Jeff Fain. Starting his first NFL game. And will Dalton be able to connect regularly with A.J. Green today? The outstanding second-year wideout has a TD catch in 6 consecutive games. 5-yard pickup on first down. It'll be 2nd and 5. Little screen, and that one blown up in a hurry by Wesley Woodyard. The Broncos 4-3 defense up front. 2-time Pro Bowler Elvis Dumervil has 5 quarterback sacks. He has forced 4 fumbles. Speaking of Pro Bowlers, that's linebacker Von Miller. This is just his 2nd NFL season. He's Denver's sack leader with 6. Speaking of Pro Bowlers, cornerback Champ Bailey has been to 11 of them. It's his job today to try to put the clamps on Bengals wide receiver A.J. Green. Loss of 1 on the play, 3rd and 6. 3rd down, a real problem lately for these Bengals on offense. Dalton almost picked off on the near side of the field. It's incomplete. Tony Carter was there and couldn't hold on.
And this was very close to being a 7-0 Denver lead early in this ball game. Andy Dalton kind of telegraphs this throw, and you could see that undercutting it, Tony Carter, and he was really close to picking that off.
Trindon Holiday is deep for Denver. 5'5", 170 pounds. And he will let this one sail over his head and into the end zone for the touchback. And ready for his first offensive series of the day at the helm for the Broncos, Peyton Manning, looking better every week. 7 TDs, 4 interceptions. He is more than halfway to another 4,000-yard season. When we talked to him yesterday, Dan, I think rejuvenated is the best way to describe Peyton Manning.
Absolutely. And we asked him about that thumb of his, and he said, look, he used the word, it's an annoyance. Yeah, I cracked my nail. Anyone who's ever done that knows the fact that it hurts. But he said it really has no impact on my throwing the football at all. It's just darn annoying.
Pass to the near side. This is McGahee, and McGahee is run out of bounds close to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, we got a good shot of that thumb in pregame warm-ups, and he's actually got tape applied right to the fingernail itself. It doesn't wrap around the thumb where it comes in contact with the football, but it's just covering up that nail. I think we've all been there. We all know it's irritating, annoying, but
McGahee, bounced right back just as he crossed the 25-yard line, and Domatop Peko right in the middle of that line.
Well, 2 tremendous tackles for the Bengals, Peko and Atkins, and this is rejected. McGahee gets up there, and he really gets his legs way out in front of him and isn't able to plant and cut. That's kind of embarrassing for a running back to land on your keister like that.
3rd and 5. far side of the field, and right at the point of contact, the completion to Demaryius Thomas. Leon Hall hit him, but I believe that'll be enough for a first down.
Yeah, the forward progress looks like it's going to give Denver the first down. What a good open field hit. Look at Leon Hall come up, drive through Demaryius Thomas, but who ran the route at exactly, and I mean exactly, the right place to move the sticks.
Two set of downs for Manning and the Broncos. This is McGahee for a couple to about 32. On the offensive line, the Broncos have one of the league's very best left tackles in number 78, Ryan Clady, in his 5th season out of Boise State. And Demaryius Thomas, a big play receiver, averaging 97 yards a game, 11 receptions of 25 yards or more. That is tops in the NFL. On 2nd and 9 now, Manning looking, throwing, and that is complete to Eric Decker, number 87, and Decker out to about the 37. Up front defensively for Cincinnati, Geno Atkins having an outstanding year. 7 sacks for an interior lineman is awesome. Just as Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton needs to take the leadership reins on offense, he's put the onus on middle linebacker Ray Maualuga defensively. And as a team, the Bengals have managed just 3 interceptions this season. Safety Chris Crocker has 2 of them. 3rd and 3. Outside, and that is Lance Ball out of the backfield, and that's a first down out to the Denver 45.
And you see Peyton Manning has got the Broncos not only doing the no huddle, but they're going up tempo. That snap came with 16 seconds left on the play clock. John Fox says this is Manning's offense. He knows how to run this. And again, that applies so much pressure to the defense. But there's no huddles that are slow, then there's no huddles that are up-tempo. He's gone up-tempo.
Rookie Ronnie Hillman into the backfield and gets the handoff here straight ahead. A couple of yards shy of midfield and brought down by Maualuga. Marvin Lewis. Yeah, what did you make of his pronouncements this week, Dan?
Well, I think he did the right thing. I think he's got a couple talented young players in Dalton and Maualuga, and you know, he actually said it. He said, Andy, I want Andy Dalton to look at Peyton Manning, and I want him to be more like that in terms of, you know, calling out your fellow teammates, demanding more accountability.
Manning with time. He's got Decker inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line and a first down. Pickup of 22 on the play.
Well, first of all, look at the pocket that Peyton Manning gets from his offensive line up front. And Ryan Clady there on the left side just seals it off. Peyton Manning able to take a couple chop steps and step right into the throw. When he does that, the accuracy is there.
Manning now 5 out of 5 for 43 yards. He's throwing again. And that one is into the dirt, incomplete, intended for Matthew Willis. His first incompletion of the day, 2nd and 10.
There's Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator. You know, before Peyton made his decision to go to Denver, he and Mike McCoy had several conversations, and Peyton wanted to make sure that they were, you know, really looking at this game of football the same way. Peyton Manning very comfortable with Mike McCoy.
This is McGahee.
Somebody's helmet's going down the field.
The ball is secured, but Chris Cooper lost his helmet, the right guard.
I'm telling you, players today wear their helmets so much looser than players used to. I don't know if they just don't, they don't want to be uncomfortable. John Fox and I were talking about that yesterday, that it's an epidemic.
Not Peyton, though.
No, Peyton clamps that baby down. You see that red compression strip across his forehead at the end of a game.
Manning looking at a 3rd and 6. Needs the 20-yard line for a first down. McGahee.
There's another helmet.
And another helmet comes rolling free. It's Chris Cooper again. No, it isn't. Or is it?
Yes,
it is Chris Cooper.
Well, you know, look how easily it slides on. I'm telling you, football helmets are supposed to fit a little tighter than that. Well, an interesting call there on 3rd and 6 to go to the run. They got the look they wanted. They just didn't get the execution.
43-yard field goal attempt upcoming by Matt Prater, who is a perfect 9 out of 9 in field goals this season. and make it 10 out of 10. 7:55 to play in the first quarter. Denver's Broncos grab a 3-0 lead here in Cincinnati. That drive didn't end quite the way Peyton Manning had hoped it would. 12 plays, 55 yards. The Matt Prater 43-yard field goal, but Peyton was anything but happy on the sideline.
I would use the word irritated. By the way, we talked about how tightly Peyton's helmet fits. Look, there's that red strip on his forehead. You won't see if his helmet comes flying off. It's because he took a major blow to the head. But no, he was irritated. He got on the phone. He was barking at somebody up in the press box and unhappy.
Mike Nugent's kick. This one will not be returned. It sailed through the end zone. And when we come back, it'll be the Bengals on offense and Andy Dalton looking to bring the Bengals back. They trail 3-0 early on.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Acura Advance. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Nice panorama of Cincinnati, Ohio on a very nice day here in early November. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis wrapped up at the line of scrimmage by Mitch Unrein.
Well, on Cincinnati's first drive, they cranked out 5 yards on their first running play that brought up a nice, manageable 2nd and 5. And Marvin Lewis doesn't want to see a whole lot of this the rest of the day. Not getting anything on first down with a running play. And they've had trouble shaking Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis loose, averaging only 3.4 yards a carry.
Dalton on 2nd and 10 has time, and out across the 30 to about the 34, the tight end Jermaine Gresham for a first down.
Well, most of the snaps today, we're going to see this matchup right here. But Champ Bailey, look at his awareness. You know, he's, one eye the receiver, the other eye the football.
This has been Jarvis Green Ellis, and shakes one tackle and out to about the 38-yard line.
Now, that was a great look on that last play of Champ Bailey playing both the receiver and the ball and then falling off and getting in on the tackle on Jermaine Gresham. That's, this guy, great cover corner. We all know that, but he is a darn good run support tackling corner. Bailey and Green right up here.
5-2.
On the blitz, Dalton got rid of it. Incomplete at the 30-yard line, intended for Green.
Chris Harris, I think, came off the corner, and that completely surprised the Bengals, but Andy Dalton able to get it away.
Holding, defense, number 58, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Referee Scott Green says the penalty is on Von Miller.
Well, Von Miller told us that he's dropping into coverage more than he did last year as a rookie, and he said, I really like that because I want to prove to people that I'm a complete linebacker, and I want to get my first interception. Now, this time you see he's got Jermaine Gresham, and that's, you want to get a good hit on the tight end and delay his release, but that's a little over the top.
Jarvis Green Ellis, nothing much there. We get our first NFL Today update of the day. JB and Boomer.
Hey, Greg, the Birds stay on the ground. Dan Dierdorf loves stuff like this, JB. 8 yards on the ground, touchdown for Ray Rice. On their initial carry, he carried the ball 6 times for 32 yards. Baltimore's up 7-0 over the Browns.
Dan would like to hit something, right?
Oh, he loved it.
All right, back to Greg and Dan.
Boomer, you are 100% correct. That's football.
Don't say that Boomer is right. You never get over it.
Well, he was a quarterback, and he appreciates a good power running game.
2nd and 10. Dalton out this way, and that's complete to about the 47 to Andrew Hawkins.
Well, Andrew Hawkins, a little guy at only 5'7", but he is a big play, and you can see right there, soft hands. That is not an easy catch, and look at that. Just the minute it touches his palms, it is secured.
Brian Leonard in the backfield now as Dalton looks at a 3rd and 7. Steps up, runs time, far side of the field, and complete pass broken up by Chris Harris over there and intended for Hawkins.
Boy, and again,
dangerous pass.
The Denver corners are not showing a lot of respect and coming right up underneath the route. And that ball, again, could have been very easily intercepted. I think Andy Dalton, part of him is happy that he dodged one there, but he's got to be that was just a poor choice on where to throw the football.
Kevin Huber to kick it away. That's Jim Leonard back inside his own 10-yard line. And we have penalty markers down as Leonard makes the fair catch after a 41-yard punt. And let's check in with Scott Green, see what the call is.
Multiple flags on the field. He's looking over at the Denver bench to see what they want to do.
Holding, kicking team number 40. 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
Leonard guilty. 4:39 to play, first quarter. We'll take a break. Denver with the ball in a 3-0 lead. Can help the victims of disasters like Superstorm Sandy. Text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. CBS cares, and we certainly want to extend our best wishes to those who have been hit hard along the East Coast by the storm Sandy, and salute those who have responded with all kinds of help and assistance to the people in need.
It's what we as Americans do best. When there's a little trouble, we respond. Of course, the Giants coming up later this afternoon.
Pop over the middle, and that is complete to the tight end, Jacob Tamme.
You know, Greg, I know the Giants are playing the Steelers later this afternoon, and the New York City Marathon was canceled, but I think it's really important to note that Governor Christie of New Jersey gave his blessing on this game taking place at the Meadowlands, and you hope that it does provide just several hours of comfort, diversion.
Managed throw, and that was incomplete. Intended for Demaryius Thomas, and Terrence Newman all over him to bat it down.
Well, there's a lot of veterans in this Cincinnati secondary, and Terrence Newman is one of them, a 10-year guy. But that ball should have been caught. It goes right through the hands. It goes right through the hands of Demaryius Thomas. Yeah, Newman was there, and he provided a hit, but that ball was dropped before Newman made contact.
3rd and 5. Screen from McGahee. McGahee has the first down, and we have penalty marker down on the far side of the field.
Interference, offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, that call is on Eric Decker.
Here's Eric Decker working against Leon Hall. And, he made a big shove there at the end. You've got to fight through him, but you can't take your hands and shove like that. You got to fight your way through it, but that's too obvious when you, and of course Leon Hall did a good job of, he really acted like a guy who was thrown away.
So Manning now looking at 3rd and 15.
You're always reluctant to blitz Manning.
Manning over the middle. Incomplete, intended for Brandon Stokely.
Wow, it looked like Stokely had his hands on that as well. I think Brandon Stokely's unhappy with himself that he didn't catch that. Again, it's a 4-man rush, and Payton's able to step up into it. And let's watch Stokely here as he comes back across the middle, and he's got it. It gets knocked out. Nate Clements gets it, but still, that should have been caught.
Adam Jones catches it at about the 34 and knocked back to about 31. Omar Bolden with the special teams tackle. Brandon Stokely says, I usually catch those. Back in Cincinnati, just about 3.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. The Denver Broncos with a field goal and a 3-0 lead, and there is the matchup that we'll be looking at all afternoon long. Champ Bailey on A.J. Green. Dalton throwing far side of the field. It is caught by Green.
Well, a double move by A.J. Green. Remember, they tried a couple out patterns and the corners were sitting on him. Now, Champ Bailey didn't really go for it, but right there he kind of lost his balance. Champ didn't bite on it, and then he's claiming he actually was shoved. But give A.J. Green a lot of credit for getting a little separation from Bailey, and Andy Dalton drops in a perfectly thrown football.
37-yard pickup. First down at the Denver 30.
Nice call with the double move.
The pitch for Green Ellis. Cutting it back for a couple of yards to about the 28. Robert Ayers coming up for the tackle.
Remember, Greg, how earlier in this game we saw the Denver corners undercut a couple 5-yard out patterns, and that's a good call by Jay Gruden, the offensive coordinator, of coming back with a double move. Now, what's really interesting is that Champ Bailey didn't really bite on it, and they still got the completion. We got to look there at Jack Del Rio, 9 years, the head coach of the Jaguars, and now in his first year as the D coordinator of the Broncos.
Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis inside the 25 to about the 23-yard line. We get the chance to remind you to get the latest news, analysis, and predictions from Pat Kerwin, Pete Frisco, and other CBS sports experts. Watch Pro Football 360 live weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern or on demand at cbssports.com/ProFootball360. There is Jack Del Rio. What did Champ Bailey say about him? Jack's a little tight on game day.
Yeah, he said he still thinks he's a player. He said, we got to calm him down. He's ready to run out on the field and make a tackle.
3rd and 3. Quick pass, far side of the field. And that's a first down inside the 20 to Brendan Tate. No, it's A.J. Green.
A well-designed play. And again, hardly a sophisticated pattern. Jermaine Gresham out in front provides the block. And again, you'll see these screens a lot where the tight end is out there as a blocker when you only need a couple yards.
Brian Leonard, and Leonard plows his way to about the 12. Wesley Woodyard, Mike Adams combined for the stop after a 6-yard pickup.
And now it's Cincinnati. They're throwing a little Denver at them. They're going no huddle, and they're running an up-tempo offense.
Leonard again. Leonard's legs still pumping inside the 10 and very close to a first down at the 8.
And I think, everyone in Cincinnati would like to see Peyton Manning growing weary of sitting on the bench. The Bengals are not going to go back into a huddle, but Jay Gruden had them in a hurry-up offense.
That's good for a first down, and it's 1st and goal for the Bengals now at the Broncos 8.
Now both teams now substituting liberally. Marvin Lewis wanted the play clock set back up. They're under 10 seconds, and they're going to have to take a timeout.
Just 28 seconds to play here in the first quarter, and Marvin's going to take it up with the stripes. Marvin Lewis was not successful in getting that timeout back, so Cincinnati with 2 timeouts remaining here in the first half. Denver all 3 of theirs, and this has been a pretty good drive by the Cincinnati Bengals. 6 plays, 59 yards, and Dalton has been 2 of 2 throwing on this drive. 1st and goal from the 8. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis behind Dalton. This is Hawkins trying to turn the corner, and he'll lose yardage on the play.
Oh, Chris Harris. Talk about doing your job on run support from the cornerback position. His positioning he erased any odds of getting to the outside by Andrew Hawkins. That was just extremely well done by Chris Harris starting over there. Tracy Porter isn't playing. He's been out for a while with the problems that he's having with seizures, and that was just superbly done.
Lost of 2 yards on the play, and that brings us to the end of 1 here in Cincinnati. It's 3-0 Denver. And we're back after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. Welcome back to Cincinnati, where the Bengals are knocking on the door. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 10-yard line as we start the second quarter.
Give the Bengals some credit. They're taking advantage of a failed Denver drive where they had 2 drop passes and an offensive pass interference penalty. They get the football back, and they're making the most of it.
Dalton had it batted down. Justin Bannon, number 97, 11-year veteran out of Colorado. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't think this was a 40-inch vertical jump, but nonetheless, he got it. That was more in the 12-inch range, I think, but well, maybe 6 inches was more like it, but Justin Bannon timed it perfectly and got the knockdown. Everybody wants to be J.J. Watt now.
Not a bad thing to aspire to.
No, it is not.
3rd and goal. Dalton pulls it down, going to run for it, and goes down at about the 10-yard line.
Did he stumble? I mean, Andy Dalton's a pretty good athlete and can make something happen when he gets out of the pocket. That time he ended up on the turf before he was contacted. Maybe he's just being super safe.
Settling for field goals when you've got 1st and goal from the 8 is not in the overall plan for Marvin Lewis today. Mike Nugent, 28-yard field goal attempt. Nugent 11 out of 12 this year. And now 12 out of 13. 14-12 to play. Here in the first half, the Bengals pull even at 3-3. The Bengals went 57 yards in 10 plays, and Nugent's 28-yard field goal has tied this game at 3. And we both know Peyton Manning sitting on the sideline is just a little too antsy for him. He's anxious to get back on the field.
Well, a little too long on the sidelines, and especially following a drive with a couple of drops and a penalty.
Brendan Holiday will not run this one out of the end zone, so Manning and company will start from their own 20-yard line. Nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Don't miss Phil Simms, Steve Berline, Rich Gannon, special guest Boomer Esiason on NFL Monday QB. Tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Quarterbacks here today. There are the numbers.
Well, keep in mind, Peyton's had 3 incompletions. And one of his completions, that first down pickup to McGahee, taken off the books because of a penalty. So he's really thrown the ball better than that.
Equal with McGahee, he gets the handoff out to about the 24-yard line. How about when Willis McGahee started talking about his teammates at the University of Miami, Dan?
Well, I asked him, I said, if you picked one year and just started, naming everyone in that team photo, and he started rattling off names. We'll get into it later, but it's pretty darn impressive. The talent that was there in Miami all at one time. Hall of Famers, all pros, Pro Bowlers.
Manning on 2nd and 7, and that one is complete to Demaryius Thomas. Out to about the 28-yard line, it'll be 3rd and 2.
And again, here's Peyton going no huddle. Now he's going slow enough that they're substituting as well as Cincinnati. Remember, if the offense is going to substitute, the defense has the right to do so as well, and you can't snap it while they're running on or off the field.
Manning says the Broncos coming off of their best complete game of the season. The win over New Orleans. Manning steps up, throws, and that is incomplete, and forward progress is going to be enough for the first down. That is complete to Demaryius Thomas.
Boy, and that's the second time so far in this game that Demaryius Thomas has run a route that by a foot was far enough to give the Broncos a first down. That's pretty good awareness. And again, Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator, he and Peyton are on the same page.
And McGahee to the right side. Ray Maualuga with the stop. Once again, we go back to New York. JB and Boomer.
Houston's on the board.
Dan and Greg, they just don't do play action like they used to. Oh, here you go. Here comes Matt Schaub after the play action down the field. backward, against the grain. Owen Daniels, 39 yards, touchdown, 7-0 Houston over Buffalo.
You had Dan fired up last time. Hey, Greg, back to you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
I know where Boomer's going.
Peyton Manning down the side of the field, complete to Thomas. Thomas tripped up, and he is down at about the 20-yard line or so. Chris Crocker saved the touchdown.
And Thomas is limping. Demaryius Thomas, he's hurt. But watch this throw from Peyton Manning. A little play action to McGahee. Arm strength, folks. I think we can put that to rest. How about the delivery of that football from Peyton Manning right onto the hands of Demaryius Thomas? But more importantly, he is still down on the ground. He landed on that right knee. He landed on that knee pretty hard. We'll check on his injury. We'll be right back.
Demaryius Thomas was able to walk off of the field. They're tending to him on the sideline. That was a 45-yard pass play, and you saw there, Demaryius Thomas leads the NFL in 25-plus yard receptions. First down at the Cincinnati 21. McGahee going nowhere.
Yeah, let's look at the end of that completion from Manning to Demaryius Thomas. And again, he's got his helmet on. It looks like he's getting ready to come back in. When he goes down, I'm not sure it's his right knee, but right there, all of his body weight is right on that right knee when it hits the ground. And, you know, these guys don't wear thigh pads. They don't wear knee pads. There's nothing to cushion that fall.
Manning looks right, throws right. That is complete to the tight end, Joel Dreesen, and Dreesen is down inside the 15 at about the 13-yard line. 7-yard pickup.
Everything changed in Denver when Peyton Manning got there. We were talking to Willis McGahee, and he said, we were all on eggshells because we just didn't know what to expect. We know how demanding he is. And then they find out that he's got this tremendous sense of humor and is one of the biggest pranksters and jokesters on the whole team.
Demaryius Thomas back onto the field, 32. Manning 4 out of 4 throwing on this drive. Looks this way, that's complete, 5 out of 5. Inside the 5 to the end zone, touchdown. Eric Decker.
Well, you can call it a pick play, a confusion play, whatever, but Demaryius Thomas runs an inside pattern, and he picks off a couple of the Cincinnati defenders. Watch Thomas come back to the inside, and right there, just going to the inside. Clements went with him and couldn't come off in time to make the play to Eric Decker.
13-yard touchdown pass, Decker's 6th TD catch of the season.
That's a nice pattern, a very high completion rate, and Eric Decker gets the touchdown. And Peyton Manning on that drive was Peyton Manning.
Extra point is perfect. 10:15 to play here in the first half. Eric Decker on the scoring end of yet another Peyton Manning touchdown pass. 10-3 Broncos. Eric Decker, yet another guy you don't have to convince is good to be on the receiving end of Peyton Manning passes. 8 plays, 80 yards. Decker with a 13-yard touchdown catch, and Denver's lead is 10-3.
That's already 6 touchdowns on the year for Decker.
This is Brandon Tate. Right up the middle. And out across the 40-yard line. Tony Carter perhaps saving the touchdown. 43-yard return.
Well, again, this is good blocking up front. You can see it's not like he's breaking tackles. He hasn't even been touched yet. There was the first one. And you're right, that was close to going all the way, but that was good work by the other 10 guys on the return group.
So Dalton with good operating room now at his own 44-yard line.
Dalton trying to clear up some confusion there.
And that's right off the hands of the tight end, Jermaine Gresham.
Yeah, let's go back and take a look at that. Great designed play. Take a look here. Stokely's going to run into the corner. Here's Demaryius Thomas. They're going to get tied up. Chris Crocker, the receiver here, though, the defender, he falls down. He loses his footing and goes down on all fours. And by the time Nate Clements comes off, it's too late.
This is A.J. Green on the end around, gets a block and is out of bounds at midfield. And we have a penalty marker down.
A flag coming in from the far sideline as the play was going on. Yeah, on that
Holding. Offense, number 85. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Armand Binns, the first-year wide receiver.
Well, again, he knows the end around is coming his way, and he's working out there on Chris Harris. I've seen a lot worse. I didn't see a jersey getting tugged or
you get points for pushing your guy toward the tackler, toward the ball carrier. Backs up. Dalton 10 yards. It's 2nd and 20.
No, outside 59. Outside 59. Lady.
We're like 2nd and 14 from the 40-yard line. Running out of time, and he goes down at the 30-yard line. And Von Miller right in there. That's 7 sacks on the year for Von Miller.
Well, the defensive rookie of the year last year with 11.5 sacks, and you can see they come with the corner blitz again. Chris Harris on the outside picked up pretty well. Andy Dalton has some time, but he's not able to step up into the throw because Von Miller coming right at him up the middle. And again, that time Denver just came with an overload, and that pocket collapsed all around Andy Dalton.
How many times did Von Miller tell us yesterday, it's all about shedding blocks and making tackles?
That's all. That part of defense will never change.
The screen to the far side. This is Mohamed Sanu, and that's going nowhere. And the Denver defense all over the field.
Oh, and Andy Dalton paid a price for that as they're setting up that screen as he gets knocked backwards. You know, when you run a successful screen, you want to slow the guys down a little bit, and Elvis Dumerville just disposes of Andy Dalton. He pleads his case, but Scott Green did not think that was excessive.
Trendon Holiday deep for the punt. And he'll get a chance to return this one. But not very far. Brought down at the 27-yard line. Jeremy Miles making the special teams play. 8:23 to play in the first half. Broncos by a touchdown. Back in Cincinnati, it'll be Denver ball at their own 27-yard line. When we talked to Peyton Manning yesterday, he said, I'm in favor of whatever allows you to play fast, and he's done that so far today.
Well, it's been tough sledding for Denver running the ball. Cincinnati's been defending the run really well. Denver's got a grand total of 19 yards.
This is McGahee. McGahee trying to turn the corner. Gets a couple before he is bounced out of bounds by Reggie Nelson.
Yeah, Willis McGahee didn't find anything where he was intending to go, and he tries to bounce it to the outside. And again, good pursuit, good contained responsibilities by the Cincinnati defense, and they are defending the run really well. Willis McGahee's averaging just 2 yards a carry.
On 2nd and 8, Manning with time, throwing, and that is complete. Decker out of bounds just short of midfield. 18-yard pickup and another first down for the Broncos.
Well, again, it was good pass protection because Eric Decker coming all the way across the field on the crossing pattern. And again, Peyton Manning with an unobstructed view, no pressure in front, able to step into the football. And if the Cincinnati pass rush from Mike Zimmer doesn't get any more pressure on Peyton Manning than that, look out.
Long day.
Long day is right.
From the 48 now, McGahee going nowhere. Once again, an NFL Today update from JB and Boomer.
A Chicago explosion.
Well, you know, the special teams have scored, the defense has scored, so why not have the offense score right there? Brandon Marshall back at the end zone, 28-2. 21 points in 2 minutes and 7 seconds for the Bears.
All righty, let's take it back to Greg and Dan.
You know, we've always talked about that quick draw that Dan Marino has shown. Jay Cutler gets rid of the ball in a hurry, doesn't he?
No, he does. He's got some arm.
58 line. Hey, from the corner.
Manning on 2nd and 10. Going to throw it right up the seam. Incomplete. Emmanuel Lamore. Just signed to the roster.
Yeah, you just brought up from the practice squad. Lamore, a rookie from Kansas State, and he's, this is going right down the seam. But Lamore, he sees the football. He's back there making a play on it. Got his right hand on it and broke it up, because that again was a ball that was well thrown going to Decker.
Denver 4 out of 6 on 3rd downs today. This little pass to Decker is not going to go anywhere.
Leon Hall made a fine tackle on that play. And that was a series that I think was really critical to this Cincinnati defense, getting Denver to punt. Already down by a touchdown. That's a classic case where Peyton Manning likes to pile on some points.
Brandon Tate is deep for the upcoming kick from Britton Colquitt. That one will be fielded inside the 10-yard line by Tate, and Tate is back to about the 16, and we have a penalty marker on the field. Initial call is holding, but against whom?
Well, the flag is clear up at the 42-yard line. So whatever this was, it happened early.
Holding, receiving team number 51 during the kick. Penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick.
So Dan Scuta's holding penalty is going to back the Bengals up a little bit. This is how you come across the bridge and into Cincinnati, where the Bengals trail by a touchdown. Hey, tonight on 60 Minutes, he's an MVP quarterback who still keeps his scholarship rejection letters. What makes Aaron Rodgers tick? Find out only on 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS. So far today, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers going up against Arizona. Those are Aaron's numbers so far on the afternoon.
There's not many substitutes better than a chip on your shoulder as far as being a motivator.
Andy Dalton in shotgun from his own 4-yard line. Throwing out of his end zone. That is complete to Gresham. And Gresham working his way up the sideline out to about the 14-yard line.
No, but that's finding the matchup they wanted. Jermaine Gresham going against Von Miller. And I think we all know Von Miller is a quarterback sacking machine, but he is still finding his way in pass coverage. So that's a matchup the Bengals think favors them a great deal.
And trying to keep the pace going. Handoff straight ahead with Ben Jarvis, Green, Ellis. And they continue to try to run the football. Marvin Lewis said, yeah, whether we do it successfully or not is another matter, but we are going to try.
Well, they think they're bigger and more physical up front than the Denver front defensive line, and they think they'd be able to mash and control the line of scrimmage.
There you go. Let's go 300 jet.
2nd and 5.
Lead! Leg up!
Dalton, quick pass over the middle. There's Gresham across the 25, and that'll be enough for a first down for the Bengals. Wrapped up by Keith Brooking and Wesley Woodyard. And once again, much as we see around the NFL, Dan, the faster you can move that offense, the better off you are.
No, and it normally takes a veteran quarterback to do this. Of course, Andy Dalton, just a second-year player. This is pretty impressive, him being able to do this. Of course, he's been impressive since the day he got in this league.
Quick pass far side, complete. Andrew Hawkins, and Hawkins knocked out of bounds as he crossed the 30-yard line.
That's a hard yard.
Well, I like the fact that they're trying to get the ball into Andrew Hawkins' hands out in space. Because, you know, as a smaller player, and he is small, but he's got out-of-this-world quickness and speed, and that's what you've got to try to do. That was well defended by Denver.
4-yard pickup, 2nd and 6 at the 31.
Hey, watch it, Philly, watch his ET.
Reed and Bailey down here at the bottom.
Yeah, Philly.
Bailey giving him lots of room. Dalton overthrows. the intended receiver, Brandon Tate.
Well, that's a classic case of bracketing by the defense. Take a look at Brandon Tate, the little stutter step. But again, now the one thing is that, in my estimation, Chris Harris got away with contact well beyond the 5-yard zone when he put both hands on Brandon Tate. That should have drawn a flag.
So now,
how about that? Both the teams running 27 plays.
Cincinnati looking at a 3rd and 6, and they are just 1 out of 5 on 3rd down so far today. Dalton throws incomplete. Gresham again targeted on the play.
Now that time Jim Leonard on coverage, and right now Andy Dalton is finding out what a lot of people have found out, and that is that this secondary of Denver is pretty darn good. It's hard to get separation. Now that time Gresham got a step, but keep in mind that Andy was running, he was out of the pocket, and just didn't deliver a really accurate pass.
Holiday is deep. And we get a penalty marker flying already. Holiday from the 11 runs out of bounds at about the 22 or 23. Let's check the flag. And this flag was thrown early.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 32, receiving team. We ran out of bounds and blocked a man out of bounds. Penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick, half the distance to the goal.
That's Tony Carter. While we have a moment in honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute.
On that penalty, when you're covering a punt, if you get knocked out of bounds, you've got to fight to get back in bounds as quickly as you can. Conversely, if you're one of the blockers and that guy is out of bounds, you have to wait until he comes back into the field of play before you block him again. You can't go hit him into the bench when he's already out of bounds, and that's what that penalty was for.
Cincinnati defense would really like to make a statement here, but there's a pass right over the middle, complete to Joel Dreesen for a 1st down.
And play action, even though the Broncos haven't been running it with a lot of success, they have been running it, and that makes the play action effective. And it was a good play action fake by Manning, and then of course working the middle of the field like he does to Dreesen, he puts it right there. But that's where, even though you're not running it with great success, even though you are running it, makes play action more effective.
18 yards out to the 24 to 1st down. McGahee off the right side and out to about the 27, maybe the 28-yard line.
And now we see Manning doing what Manning does best. 3 minutes left and a half. No panic.
And Dan,
we got it covered.
You mentioned something about Peyton Manning too. He doesn't have an ego to the point where he has to throw the ball. If you give him the run, he'll take it.
I think he's very unselfish.
The near side of the field, Jacob Tanny, and Tammy is wrapped up. And that's Chris Crocker.
Well, very good tackle by Crocker. But he got on Tammy before Tammy had a chance to get upfield. No, you're right, Greg. In a normal offense, unlike this where you're getting down to the end of a half, but in a normal situation, if you give Manning the look that favors a run, he'll run it 15 times in a row. He has no ego when it comes to that.
3rd and 6.
55.
He's going to let the 2-minute
warning hit before he gets the snap. 2 minutes to play here in the 1st half in Cincinnati. Manning and the Broncos by a touchdown. 2 minutes to play here in the 1st half in Cincinnati. Denver with all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Cincinnati with 2 and a 3rd and 6 for Manning. with time. In and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Jacob Tamme.
When Tamme is hurt, he's letting that left arm dangle, and I'm not sure if he did something to the hand, the wrist, but he is in pain. Tamme just releases from the tight end position again. Leon Hall has got him in man coverage, but that ball comes loose because of the big hit from Reggie Nelson.
Adam Jones. Caught it and is dropped immediately by David Bruton. Minute 45 to play in the first half. Our chance to remind you, coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Was it not a delight to hear Bill Cowher say that the allegations that a college football team could knock off an NFL team are just absolutely ridiculous?
Well, it is ridiculous. I don't. But again, Steve Spurrier said it. I'm assuming he was semi-tongue-in-cheek when he said it.
You do?
But, I think Steve Spurrier is semi-tongue-in-cheek with everything he says.
First down from the 23. Dalton going to get sacked again.
That's Von Miller, I think, who fell into it, working against Andre Smith, the right tackle. But
third time today he's been sacked.
Yeah, but that's because Andy Dalton found nowhere to go with the football and was trying to escape the pocket. And that's, you don't want to be silly, you don't want to make a mistake, you're only down a touchdown.
Miller now with 8 sacks on the season, his second today. And the blitz, he got rid of it. Incomplete at the 30-yard line. Intended for Brandon Tate.
Well, Jack Del Rio is an aggressive defensive coordinator, and he'll come after you. He will come with pressure. And that ball was low, and he had to throw it that way because Tony Carter had outstanding coverage. Yeah, Jack Del Rio, I think he did a good job in Jacksonville those 9 years. His teams, you always look, does a team play hard for a guy? I think his team's always good.
Third and long yardage now. Dalton needs the 33-yard line for a first down. And that one is complete for a first down. Across the 35. Hawkins to about the 38-yard line. And we're under a minute to play for the first half. 18-yard pickup.
Well, once again, Andrew Hawkins, he gets open, and then he makes some moves afterwards.
And now we get a timeout call to stop play.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati uses its second timeout. 58 seconds to play in the half. The word from the sideline is that tight end Jacob Tamme is okay.
A temporary affliction of some kind, an owie. Yeah, he's still looking at that arm, and if he was walking the other direction, we would see that he's got an abrasion on that left elbow.
Monday.
It hurt, but merely an annoyance.
That was complete to the near side to A.J. Green. And Champ Bailey giving him a little bit of room.
Well, yeah, Champ Bailey playing it accordingly, seeing you're inside a minute in the half. He's going to make sure that A.J. Green does not get over the top.
Was it amazing, Dan? Champ Bailey told us that he has only had the same defensive coordinator once for 2 successive years.
In his entire 14-year career.
Amazing.
Well, I think all the Denver fans know that they've been rotating defensive coordinators over the last number of years. Yeah, Larry Coyer twice in a row was hit for Champ.
Second and short yardage. Time for Dalton, and throws incomplete.
Well, Champ Bailey was in front of A.J. Green. I don't know if Andy Dalton threw that away, because if he'd have thrown it right at A.J. Green, that would have been a pick. See, look at Champ. He never loses awareness on the football. A.J. Green realized he had nowhere to go and pretty much came to a screaming halt.
Mike Nugent hoping to get a field goal shot here in the final 47 seconds at least. Little shovel pass to Brian Leonard. And that really goes nowhere, just inside Denver territory.
But it moves the chains.
Boy, that Champ Bailey on A.J. Green matchup, a couple of former Georgia Bulldogs.
And now Denver is going to call a timeout.
So Denver uses one of its 3 timeouts and stops the clock with 31 seconds to play. A reminder, the Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Dan, Shannon Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher, all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming right up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
I think Denver got caught with the wrong personnel in the wrong place, and that's a smart move to go ahead and take a timeout. You don't want to make it easy. Yeah, Halloween is past, but Election Day is Tuesday, so a reminder to everybody, cast your ballot.
They are often confused as being one and the same.
Hot, hot.
First down.
Hey, watch it, TT.
Do I sense some pessimism?
Hot.
Look
Under
out.
pressure, Dalton shakes the tackler, and he's going to run for it out to about the 45. Elvis Dumerville catching up from behind.
And then Dalton takes Cincinnati's last timeout. And this looked like a sack for. Here comes Von Miller around the corner.
Boy, is he quick.
Yeah, he is so quick. But Andy Dalton, see, Andy shows his athleticism here and being able to get away and get up the field. Von Miller thought he had him there as he was coming around the edge on Andre Smith. They're just trying to get far enough down. It'd be nice if they could get another 15 yards or so to give Nugent a good look at things.
Von Miller's made his presence felt here in the first half with 4 tackles and a pair of sacks.
Mike Nugent, the kicker, kind of a popular guy around these parts. That happens when you play for Ohio State.
2nd and 5. Cincinnati out of timeouts.
Who you want? Hey, OB left, OB left, OB left. Bring it. Lady. Hey, hot.
Here comes the blitz. Dalton throwing. Got his man inside the 30-yard line and ridden out of bounds is Brandon Tate.
Well, good job by the Bengals of blitz pickup and giving Andy Dalton a good look. And they spike it, and now Nugent will get his chance. I think the crowd's unhappy that the clock didn't stop with him being out of bounds.
So are the Bengals on the near sideline. John Fox didn't seem to think everyone was set before the snap, but here's Nugent going to get his chance from 46 yards out to put points on the board.
And Fox calls a timeout to...
Timeout, Denver.
I guess he's
Second
trying to
charge
ice Mike
timeout.
Nugent.
30-second timeout.
Well, Mike Nugent in his 8th season out of Ohio State. John Fox still pleading his
I
case.
think he's arguing that maybe they weren't even in a legal formation when they snapped the ball.
John Fox, we were talking to him about the arrival of Peyton Manning. I love this comment. He's such a hard, Peyton Manning, such a hard worker. He raises all boats.
Yes, he does. And there's no argument about it. That's the great players. Coaches will tell you all the time, you're a good coach when your best players are your hardest workers. That is at any level in any sport.
Mike Nugent from 46 yards out. Kick is on the way. Whoa!
Oh, he pushed it, I
Yes,
think.
he did. He missed it. Pushed it to the right, and with that, the first half comes to an end. Only touchdown of the day. Off the arm of Peyton Manning. It's 10-3 Denver. Back at the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Cincinnati, as we get you set for the start of the third quarter, with the Broncos leading the Bengals by a score of 10-3. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf, and obviously the Bengals have this bend but don't break approach so far this afternoon. They've allowed the 1 touchdown pass to Peyton Manning, but are very much in this game at 10-3. It's been a pretty interesting quarterback duel between Mr. Manning and Mr. Dalton.
It really has. You got to give the defenses credit. Running the football has been a real struggle as we look at the raw numbers. Keep in mind, with Peyton's 5 incompletions, at least 3 of those were outright drops. Peyton Manning has been really accurate.
Now, we started the day talking about that matchup between the two ex-Georgia Bulldogs, Champ Bailey guarding A.J. Green.
Well, Champ Bailey told us, I've been waiting for him here in the NFL since I first saw him as a freshman at Georgia, and it has been, it has been a really good matchup right there. A good double move by A.J. Green. That was for 37 yards, but by and large, it has been tough getting away from Champ Bailey. Again, though, that opens things up. Jermaine Gresham has got 3 receptions. I think that's, you can't go away from Green, but the reality is that coverage, you got to go to the best matchup, and a lot of times that might be your tight end in the middle of the field.
And that may be a telling matchup for the second half of this game, too.
Well, disappointing for Cincinnati. They worked to get into field goal position, and Nugent missed it.
Trindon Holiday will run this one out of the end zone for the Denver Broncos. Right up the middle, he has all kinds of running room, and he may be gone. Trindon Holloway to the end zone.
No flags. .105 yards. Well, they're separated by halftime, but on 2 consecutive kicking plays, Cincinnati misses a field goal, and then they kick it off to Denver, and it gets returned for a touchdown by Holiday. Outstanding blocking. He makes one good cut, and the lane integrity for the Bengals was completely destroyed, and away he goes.
105 yards, the longest in Denver history. The extra point is good. Trindon Holiday, 5 yards deep in his end zone, and just like that, the Broncos extend their lead. Trindon Holiday, all 5'5", 170 pounds of him, gets the Broncos off to a roaring start here in the second half with a 105-yard kickoff return for the touchdown. Brandon Tate in the end zone now for the Bengals. And Tate will not run this one out of the end zone. They'll come out to the 20-yard line. We go back.
Well, I talked about it on back-to-back plays separated by halftime. The missed field goal by Mike Nugent that would have cut into the Denver lead, and then the very next play, this return by Holiday. And I'll tell you something, these kickoff coverage units, that was so deep into the end zone, I'll guarantee you some of the cover guys thought that was going to be a touchback, that he was just going to down that football. You ease up just a little bit, and bang, it happens. A touchdown against you, and that is a demoralizer. That is a big-time demoralizer.
So the Bengals now in a 2-touchdown hole as they get started here in the third quarter from their own 20-yard line. Dalton to throw. Far side of the field, and that's complete. Close to the 25-yard line. Orson Charles, the rookie tight end out of Georgia.
Yeah, and that time he's covered. Champ Bailey was out there on that side of the field. And again, a good hard tackle, solid tackle by Champ Bailey. He's going to find A.J. Green probably, on 85 or 90% of the snaps.
Flipper.
Dalton on 2nd and 6 to throw again, and he's going to run it. Has a first down, and he dives across the 35 to the 36-yard line for a first down.
And that's really a smart play by Andy Dalton, just to slow down this Denver pass rush a little bit. Because now with a 2-touchdown lead, they're going to really be, they're not thinking about playing the run all that much, and this will really get them thinking twice if he can escape that pocket a couple times and move the sticks.
This has been Jarvis Green Ellis. Spun down at the 37-yard line by Woodyard Chris Harris. It was funny talking about Champ Bailey. He was the perfect one to talk to about Peyton Manning because he's seen him on the other side of the line, and then every day in practice, He said the amazing thing about him is that you can't fool him. You might fool him on one snap out of 100. The other 99 times he'll get you.
Well, you talk to those two guys, and they instantly start talking about how practicing against each other makes both of them better, and their entire units along with it.
On 2nd and 8, Dalton gets time, runs out of time now, and throws it wide open is Gresham. Gresham with a block down the sideline, still on his feet, and finally down inside the 15-yard line. Champ Bailey made the tackle.
Well, major kudos to Andy Dalton. And that is the kind of athleticism that he has. You know, he leaves on his own. He wasn't forced out of that pocket. He couldn't find anybody. But running to his left, look how accurate this throw is. Again, always looking downfield. And it's pretty easy to find Gresham. There wasn't a Denver Bronco within 5 yards of him.
52-yard pickup, and this is Green Ellis straight ahead for nothing.
You know, that's where your pass coverage is broken down because the quarterback extended the play. In the initial part of that play, Gresham was covered, and then the Denver defense lost track of it. And if Cincinnati can just squeeze this into the end zone, they're right back in it.
Squeezing it into the end zone has been a problem today.
Hey, Lester.
Dalton throwing, corner of the end zone, touchdown! A.J. Green.
And Lincoln against Champ Bailey.
And Champ Bailey gave him a little pat as he went by.
Now it's going to be interesting because this was right on the sideline. Does A.J. Green have complete possession of this football? Sure looks like he's got it under control. Again, Andy Dalton. A.J. spins around. He's got the football clutched firmly to his chest. There's 1 foot down. There's the 2nd foot down.
3rd foot and a derriere.
And control of the football. That was well done. And desperately needed by these Bengals.
Nugent for the extra point. And the Cincinnati Bengals answer in the best possible way. 17-10, Denver. 11 and a half to play in the 3rd. A.J. Green now with a touchdown catch in 7 straight games. Caps a 6-play, 80-yard drive. And the Bengals are right back in it now. Trindon Holiday, last time he got his hands on the ball, took it 105 yards. And he'll get a chance to return this one from the 3. Cut down at about the 17-yard line by Emmanuel Lamour, and let's go back to the touchdown pass.
Well, again, A.J. Green is up here at the top of the screen. Here's Champ Bailey. It's just a simple, this is just a little simple out fade pattern into the corner. But this is the kind of a throw that as a quarterback you're not afraid to make when your receiver is 6'4". Champ Bailey's a decent-sized corner at 6 feet tall, but that's a rare situation where Champ didn't get an eye on the football. He was not exactly sure where that football was. Green made a good play. That drive, though, was all Andy Dalton.
Peyton Manning now sees his first action here in the 2nd half. Rolling left, throwing, complete, close to the 30-yard line. That'll be enough for a first down to Jacob Tamme.
And Peyton hasn't played any football, and there's Tamme again. You see now he's got that left arm wrapped up, but he acted again like that hurt. He's obviously in some discomfort. Talking to the training staff, Steve Antonopoulos, the trainer, and it's
Virgil Green comes in at tight end.
Super. Check Falcon. 58. Hey, Ram.
McGahee wrapped up at the 25-yard line by Geno Atkins. Loss of 4 on the play. I mentioned at the very top of the day, Dan, Geno Atkins, for an interior lineman to come into this game with 7 sacks is unbelievable.
Well, because almost every time, I guarantee on one of those sacks, he has to beat a double team. You got to fight through a mass of bodies to get sacks as a defensive tackle. That's why the Warren Sacks of the world was so rare, and when you see one, you got to really appreciate it.
Manning, and that one across the 30 and up to the 35 is Dreesen.
And Dreesen doesn't go down easily.
He's about 2 yards short of a first down.
Again, you got to give this Cincinnati defense a lot of credit on how they're playing the run. Now the Denver Broncos they keep trying to run it, but let's face it, they've got a dozen rushes for a grand total of 20 yards.
3rd and 2.
Is this for show, or are they going to come?
Manning throwing this side of the field, and that's complete for a first down to Brandon Stokely.
So much timing involved between these two. They've been together on and off for so many years, and Peyton Manning just anticipates the cut by Stokely.
Brandon Stokely, who thought his career was done when he got hurt after just 3 weeks with the New York Giants last year. Manning pulls it down, now throws over the middle, and that's Decker. Nate Clements cut him down at about midfield.
But again, no pass rush to speak of on Peyton Manning. I would say that Decker was at least the 3rd option, if not the 4th. Peyton had all the time in the world to survey the field.
What do you want?
They are playing the run really well, but Manning is yet to be sacked.
We got 68.
And this is a Bengals team that led the AFC in sacks coming into this game. Short drop, quick pass, off the hands of Thomas. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Now this was that previous play, Eric Decker getting his feet knocked out from under him by Nate Clements. Little aerial acrobatics. I would say that's about a 9.7. Landing there. That would have created a big splash.
Jacob Tamme back onto the field. Manning throwing, and outside to Hillman. Hillman gets the first down at the 45.
Well, he's close. Yeah, it's close. Let's see exactly where they sit this ball. It's not where it's sitting right now.
I'm going to say yeah, dude.
Yeah, it looks. They're going to bring him over. The chains are on the near side. You can't necessarily go by that marker over there because.
Oh, well, then I'll change my mind. If I can't go by the marker, come on.
Well, the chains are what count, and the chains are on this side of the field. You know, if that guy's off just a little bit, it would be misleading.
Yes,
to you,
it would.
And you would have every right to be upset with that official.
Fortunately, that's not going to apply here.
He was spot on.
And so was I, as a matter of fact, coincidentally.
Oh, if I bring it up myself.
Ronnie Hillman, the youngest player in the National Football League.
Well, that's about the 4th time that I can think of so far in this game where a Denver player has picked up a first down by about a foot. They've run patterns. Demaryius Thomas did it a couple times in the first half where he ran a pattern right on the first down stick.
On first down, this is McGee for a couple to about the 42.
Well, nothing new about this. Peyton Manning is an equal opportunity thrower of the football. And a couple drops along the way, but he gets everybody involved. And today, so far, Eric Decker, the leader on the receiving staff.
Manning 5 out of 6 on this drive for 42 yards.
55, Mike!
McGee Right side, tucks it back, running room, inside the 35 to the 32, and a first down.
That's McGahee's biggest run of the day. That was a huge run. Again, take a look at the backside cut by Zane Beadles, the guard. And again, that little jump cut back to the inside for McGahee, and that is by far and away the biggest hole that he has seen all day in the running game.
Manning over the middle. Stokely held on.
And paid for it. Oh, and now that's Reggie Nelson, I think, getting in Brandon Stokely's face. You got to be a tough guy to run this seam pattern because you know the safety is sitting there. You're going to get it whether you catch it or not.
Reggie Nelson probably wants to know how he held on.
Brandon Stokely has been getting it done for a long time, 14 years.
From the 12, McGahee inside the 10 to about the 8.
And again, just looking at this drive, this is what happens when you just stay committed to the run. Even though there haven't been many yards, all of a sudden now, Willis McGahee is starting to find a little running room. This offensive line is having a little more success against this Cincinnati front.
Holiday started this half off with a 105-yard kickoff return. Dalton's touchdown pass answered that, and Manning trying to bring the Broncos back. Play fake, throwing, intercepted in the end zone. Terrence Newman picked it off.
Well, Peyton Manning, I think, was throwing to a spot, and Eric Decker didn't get to that spot.
Manning rolls right, throws, and you're right, Newman got there before Eric Decker did. Peyton Manning intercepted for the 5th time this season, only the 4th pick by the Bengals defense all season long. And first down for the Bengals at their own 20-yard line.
Hey, let's go, Wilson, on! Wilson, on! Quick, on! Hey!
But Dalton's changing the play.
Hey, hop!
Then Jarvis Green Ellis for about 5 yards. Let's go back to that pick.
Yeah, Eric Decker is split out here to the right. This is Terrence Newman, the corner. Watch how it's Newman that fights for position on the football. Eric Decker has to fight across his face right here, and yet it's Newman that really challenges and fights for the position, and Decker is just a step behind.
Hello,
Now, Peyton Manning may have thrown that. He may have thrown that too far out, and I'm not responding to that. He may have thrown the ball a little too far to the left.
On 2nd and 5, a little flip to Green Ellis, and that's going nowhere. It's going to lose yardage back to about the 23. So now that is going to put Dalton into a 3rd and long.
Well, it was a fantastic effort by Terrence Newman to end that drive because, again, that's what really good football teams do. They respond to a scoring drive with one of their own, and Denver was well on their way to doing that before Terrence Newman put a stop to it.
Cincinnati trying to snap the 3-game losing streak.
No, outside of 31! Outside of 31! Ladies!
And moved to 500 on the season.
Make it hop!
Dalton got his man at the 40. Mohamed Sanu inside the 45 of the Denver Broncos for a first down.
Oh, what a nice pass by Andy Dalton.
34-yard pickup.
Straight 4-man rush by Denver, well blocked. A simple little post pattern to Sanu, and you can see he gets inside Omer Bolden, the rookie, and got some good separation.
Bring it ahead, and then Jarvis Green Ellis to the 38.
You know, Greg, we talked early in this game about the urgency here for Cincinnati. You know, it's Peyton and the Broncos here today. Next Sunday, it's Eli and the Giants here. And if they don't win at least one of these games, I don't see how they make the playoffs. And I think they realize that.
Dalton on the move, throws, got his man inside the 30-yard line for a first down. That's A.J. Green.
Well, that's the A.J. and Champ show. And this time Champ Bailey thinking that Green, and that you don't see very often, Champ Bailey turning all the way around. That is not textbook play from a corner. A.J. Green sold Champ Bailey on going deep. If you see a corner do a pirouette, that's not good.
Green Ellis straight ahead inside the 25 to the 23. What did Champ Bailey tell us? He's known all about A.J. Green ever since A.J.'s high school days. He knew he was something special.
He really did. He said, I've been waiting for him. It was apparent the first time I saw him that this guy was going to play on Sundays in the National Football League. A lot of pride in the fact that they're both Georgia dogs.
Hey, let's go Phoenix on!
Second and
Phoenix
6.
on! Lady!
Dalton looks this way. Tip incomplete.
Tony Carter got a hand on that.
Tate was the intended receiver on the near side.
Yep. Carter does a nice job getting up in the air and gets his left hand on the football. And that was a feast or famine move by Carter, because if he doesn't touch that football, that could have
might have jumped a little too soon. Looked like he was on his way down when he got his hand on the ball. 3rd and 6.
Well, he got it. That's what counted. Green and Bailey at the bottom.
Dalton under pressure and goes down at the 30.
Von Miller again.
3rd sack of the day for number 58.
At the top of your screen, and he just gets underneath and just throws Andre Smith out of the way. Andre Smith at 335 pounds got a little high. Von Miller got underneath him and just dispatched him.
This is a 49-yard attempt. Nugent's long for this year is 48. It's on its way. It looks good and plenty to spare. So Nugent pulls the Bengals 3 points closer. 17-13 Denver. That man Trendon Holiday, not that man. Trendon Holiday is in the end zone. Last kickoff return, 14 yards. The one before that, 105. Bounce inside the 5, picked up there, dropped and covered there by Lance Ball.
Lance, that's why you're not the primary kick returner.
Holiday appeared to be looking for a decent bounce, and Lance Ball wasn't going to be that patient. Field position has been tough to come by lately for Peyton Manning. Last 3 Denver drives have begun at the 6, the 17, and now the 1-yard line. McGahee and Hillman in the backfield behind number 18. McGahee for maybe a yard and a half.
I'll tell you right now that Cincinnati defense, their energy level is off the charts. Look at Carlos Dunlap yelling. Yeah, he's trying to get everybody fired up, and we've got one of the Broncos down on the ground.
And that's Chris Cooper.
He's their starting right guard, and they're looking at something on a lower leg injury of some type.
While they take a look at Chris Cooper, we'll remind you that got back-to-back Mannings here on CBS today. Peyton here, and then coming up next, the Pittsburgh Steelers at New York to play Eli Manning and the New York Giants. An odd situation, Dan, in that the Steelers flew in this morning and got off a plane. As a player, how would you? It's got to be a little strange.
Well, the only thing I can say, you're a professional. You knew this was coming. They've known it for the last couple of days. They spent the night in a hotel in Pittsburgh last night, so it was kind of like being on the road together as a team. I'm sure they followed the same routine. Now, it would have been strange if you would have had to fly all the way to the coast, But the trip from Pittsburgh to Newark, not that big. I don't think it's a big deal. Actually, the most distracting week was had by the Giants because of what their players had to deal with their families, their friends.
Players bunking in with teammates.
Absolutely. I think the hardship was on the Giants, not the Steelers.
Meanwhile, Chris Cooper being helped off the field. He is replaced by number 65, Manny Ramirez, in his 6th season out of Texas Tech.
Petto trying to get the folks there in the end zone to chime in.
2nd and 8. McGahee going nowhere. Ridden to the ground. Vontaze Burfict leading the charge. Let's get an update from New York. JB and Boomer.
Foster with the nifty feet.
Well, it's the run game. Terrell Davis, Ickey Woods, you name it. Great running backs find the end zone. And that's exactly what Arian Foster does. Houston goes on top 14-9.
Back to Greg and Dan.
All right, guys. Houston Texans getting a battle from those Buffalo Bills. 3rd and 8.
The Broncos here in one of their own. They're having a battle with this Cincinnati defense right now.
Manning going deep. Intercepted again and again by Newman.
And again trying to go to Eric Decker. And Terrence Newman has stepped up. He has stepped up and back-to-back turnovers.
And from the get-go, Newman had this play beaten.
Well, Peyton Manning just overthrows Eric Decker by a good couple of yards. And from the get-go, it was Newman that looked more like the receiver than the defender. Peyton ends up going to the ground, but he was able to step into that throw.
2 straight passes, 2 straight interceptions for Peyton Manning. 1 second to play here in the 3rd quarter. Ben Jarvis, Green, Ellis to about the 20, and that'll do it for the 3rd quarter. We have played 3 here in Cincinnati. 17-13 Broncos. Back after this message and a word from your local station. Along with our producer Mark Wolf and director Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, the rest of our CBS Sports crew, Peyton Manning trying to figure it out here as we start the 4th quarter. Denver with a 17-13 lead. Bengals with the ball. At the Denver 21. Dalton's quick pass, that's complete. A.J. Green running room, 10. 5 out of bounds, just short of the goal line.
Well, Wesley Woodyard was the linebacker who had the primary coverage, and he's not able to make the tackle. You can see right there, Green drops into his hook zone, and Woodyard, number 52, not able to make the play. And A.J. Green showing a little of that athletic ability of his.
6 catches for 91 yards on the day for Green. 1st and goal. Throwing, incomplete. Intended for Sanu, the rookie, out of Rutgers. It'll be 2nd and goal.
And again, just a little too high from Andy Dalton, but there was really good coverage over there by Chris Harris, and that necessitated that high throw.
Green Ellis, straight ahead, looking for the goal line.
Well, he's in the end zone now.
And it is a touchdown.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It took a while, but he finally broke the plane with the ball. And right now, the quarterback duel is being won by Andy Dalton. Good power running by Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and a good surge finishes it off.
Andy Dalton even helping with the push from behind.
Well, he's got his team in the lead. He's got a touchdown with no interceptions. Peyton Manning has 1 touchdown with 2 picks.
Nugent for the extra point. And the kick is good. What a turnaround here for the Cincinnati Bengals. It started picking off Peyton Manning. Terrence Newman with his 2nd interception of the day. End result, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and company over the end zone, 20-17. Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals on top thanks to a 4-play, 27-yard drive in just 51 seconds. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis taking it in, and the Bengals lead Denver by a score of 20-17 with plenty of time remaining here in the 4th quarter. Trendon Holiday will not run this one out, and Denver will begin from their 20-yard line. And you know, it's worth repeating, but before we get to that, there is a penalty marker down. And they may re-kick this one.
I think Cincinnati was offsides on the kick.
Offside, kicking team, number 27. Penalty will be enforced, and we will re-kick.
So that's going to give Mr. Holiday another chance. Worth repeating again. It is worth your time and your effort and your donations. Help the victims of disasters like Superstorm Sandy. Text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. CBS Cares.
Well, that's one of those penalties where you don't want to make eye contact with the other 10 guys on the coverage team because you're making them sprint the length of the field again.
That was the rookie Drake Kirkpatrick who was offside.
And who's active for the first time this year and is just getting some special teams work. Their number 1 pick that has had a knee issue, didn't play in the preseason, and finally on an NFL field for the first time.
Holiday. And a terrific job of kicking by Mike Nugent. He won't get a chance to run this one out. So Peyton Manning coming out on the field, and boy, I tell you, Andy Dalton has held his own in the duel with number 18. Manning, 1 touchdown pass, 2 interceptions, and those 2 coming in his last 2 throws.
And again, both times Eric Decker was the intended target, and you know, the last one I think was clearly an overthrow on Peyton's part. The first one, tough to tell, but either way, you got to give Terrence Newman a lot of credit. He made the plays when they counted.
Manning looking to over the middle, and that's Demarius Thomas across the 25 to about the 26-yard line. Emmanuel Lamore makes the stop. Pickup of 6, and it'll be 2nd and 4.
Again, going with the no huddle, not necessarily the high-speed version of it. Taking his time, pointing out the mic, identifying protection. We've seen this over the years.
58 Floyd.
Not much there. He's stacked up at about the 27.
Again, this is a Denver running game today that hasn't even cracked the 40-yard barrier. It has been tough sledding against this Mike Zimmer run defense. You can't hardly play the run much better than they're doing.
3rd and 3. Just 39 yards rushing today. And we get a whistle.
And that's Manning.
And a Cincinnati timeout.
Manning hurried things up, and Cincinnati had the wrong people on the field.
13:05 to play in the 4th quarter. 3rd and 3 for Manning and the Broncos when we come back. It's a Cincinnati crowd that's pretty fired up here on 3rd and 3. And a chance to get Peyton Manning off the field with a defensive stop. throws, and that is complete. And breaking away is Decker. Decker, midfield. Hit from behind, inside the 45 of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, Peyton Manning comes right back to Decker. What a nice route. That's a great job of selling it, getting right into the defender, being very physical, and then making something happen afterwards, including running over your own teammate, Brandon Stokely.
30-yard pickup. Manning, little pump fake, now over the middle, and he's got Demaryius Thomas to the 30.
Man, how small was that window where Peyton Manning squeezes in that football? That was real. Look at that. Perfect. Almost got a hand on it. A lot of confidence Peyton Manning showed right there in going to Demaryius Thomas.
A couple of first downs in a row now. First down. Manning steps into it. Going for the end zone. Knocked down. Penalty marker.
You know, I think we got a little bit of a premature celebration there by Pac-Man Jones. That's going to be interference.
Interference, defense, number 24. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball will be placed on the 1-yard line.
Right there,
First
look at him
down.
grab the jersey. No, he let it go, and he got a hand on the football. He had the awareness to let Demaryius Thomas go, but the damage had been done.
I don't know how you can be surprised by the call.
No, I mean, I think because he got his hands away and then knocked the football away again. You can't grab him between the numbers and think the official isn't going to see that.
First and goal. Manning rolling, throwing, touchdown. Dreesen.
Well, a designed rollout all the way, and you don't exactly see Peyton Manning making a living by stretching a defense like this. But working the back of the end zone is Dreesen, and a good job of everybody just, the Cincinnati defense just loses track. He goes to the middle, then doubles back to the outside. You see Vontaze Burfict there kind of looking around. I don't know if that was his responsibility or not, but a well-designed play by Mike McCoy.
Matt Prater. Extra point is good. Manning, 4 out of 4 for 50 yards throwing on that drive. Denver comes right back and reclaims the lead, 24-20. It has been an afternoon of punch and counter punch, and the Broncos with the last counter punch, Peyton Manning's touchdown pass to Joel Dreesen. 24-20, Broncos. Line drive kick, Tate on the run 2 yards deep in his end zone. To the 20, out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Gives us an opportunity to tell you Wednesday in primetime, JB, Chris Collinsworth, Phil Simms showcase America's favorite game with their own unique style inside the NFL. Wednesdays at 9, 8 Central on Showtime.
One piece of business, we saw Peyton Manning talking to his offensive line guard, Chris Cooper, has gone to the locker room. He will not return to this game with an ankle injury. So Manny Ramirez will stay on that offensive line for Denver when they get the football on their next possession.
So let's see if Andy Dalton has an answer. On first down, Ben Jarvis, Green, Ellis, Bulls straight ahead.
Well, a rare, decent-sized hole in the interior for either one of these two teams that have had tough sledding, but certainly Cincinnati has been more effective running the football. They're all the way up to a whopping 80 yards.
50 of them for Green Ellis.
That has Denver more than doubled up.
So Wilson on. Wilson on. Wilson on. Wilson underneath. Lead.
Again. And looks to be about a yard short of a first down at the 36.
Andy Dalton liked the look of the the box count, how many guys were up on the line of scrimmage playing the run.
So
We
plenty
went to the run.
of talk here in Cincinnati about Marvin Lewis saying, hey, he wants Ray Malaluga and he wants Andy Dalton to take more control. Results pretty good so far today. Then Jarvis Green Ellis for the first down.
You know, we talked about that with Marvin, and I asked him, did he think there was an overreaction to that? And he said, yeah. Could I have phrased it a little differently? Yes. But he goes, I know what he's trying to say. On every good football team, the leaders of the football team hold their teammates accountable. And that's what real leaders do. And because Ray Malaluga runs the defensive huddle and Andy Dalton runs the offensive huddle, they are the two logical places where that kind of leadership starts. That's all Marvin was looking for. I completely agree with him.
Dalton complete across the 45 to Green Ellis out of the backfield. And we have a flag in the backfield. And this is going to be a hold against the Bengals.
Holding, offense, number 77. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Big Andrew Whitworth.
Well, he's the leader of that offensive line. And we talked to Andrew before this game, and there's a great look at it. Elvis Dumerville is 5'11", and Andrew Whitworth is 6'7". And he talked about it as such a struggle to get your hands down that low to get under it. And you could see right there that Dumerville was into Whitworth's chest, and Whitworth was not able to do anything about it.
He said Dumerville drives his feet as well as anyone in the league.
It is hard to block a guy who's that short.
First and 20. Little pump fake. Up the sideline for Green, and a penalty marker flag.
Dumerville did it to Whitworth again. It didn't have anything to do with the play.
Looks like this will be on Champ Bailey.
Holding, defense, number 24. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
A.J. Green, Champ Bailey. Wow, Champ Bailey, he there's no question, he sure tried. There's Dumerville and Whitworth, and look at Dumerville, he gets under him again and runs him right into Andy Dalton, but Dalton had already got rid of the football. There's no question, it wasn't much of a hold by Champ, but it wasn't through lack of effort. He tried to grab him. He flailed at him as he was falling down.
So it's a first down for Cincinnati at the 33. Dalton, sideline pass, incomplete. Intended on the near side for Brandon Tate. It'll be 2nd and 10.
I think Andy threw that away. Chris Harris, the corner to this side, had outstanding coverage. That's one of those where as a quarterback you just see what's happening and you put it in a position where it can't be picked.
Well, especially if you played with fire in the first half the way he did.
Jay Gruden has done a fine job, though, mentoring Andy Dalton, bringing him along.
Dalton going to go to the other sideline and overthrows A.J. Green, covered there by Champ Bailey.
And again, that throw, I think, was forced by good coverage because Champ Bailey had everything underneath. Anything that's not overthrown is going to be an interception. See, look at Champ Bailey get back on the football. He knows when he saw that thing coming in that there's no way that could be completed.
3rd and 10.
Luigi, come on,
Under 5. And a whistle and a flag.
And got a false start. Yeah.
False start, offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Andrew Whitworth is having a less than memorable for a 4th quarter.
Well, this has been a tough series, and yep, you saw the flinch. Yeah, he saw the game coming between Dumerville. Man, when it rains, it pours sometimes.
7 penalties for 73 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals so far today. 3rd and 15.
Double sword, double sword. Double sword, double sword, double
They're
sword.
just showing a three-man rush. Let's see if they add to it.
Easy, easy. Mario, 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 Mario. Stop.
Here they come. Throwing over the middle. Oh, what a catch made by A.J. Green, and what a throw by Dalton, and we have a penalty marker down in the backfield.
Holding. Offense. Number 62. 10-yard penalty. Third down.
Oh boy, what a backbreaker of a penalty. They're calling that on Jeff Fain, number 62, the center. And I don't think there's any question. He just wraps up Von Miller. Miller was coming right up the middle, had a clean shot at Andy Dalton. And Fain, who's been nursing a hamstring problem, that was a blatant hold. But what a huge play by the Bengals that gets erased.
25 yards worth of penalties on this drive alone.
Yeah.
Third and 25. Boy, Andy Dalton threw that one as well as any gunslinger around.
Lady. Like hot.
Dalton going to go deep. Green looking for it. Bailey with the interception.
That's where being a young quarterback can come back and haunt you sometimes. You're in a 3rd and 25 situation. The Cards are being completely held by the defense. You can't be aggressive. You can't take this kind of a chance because this is what can happen.
Champ Bailey's first interception of the year. Andy Dalton knows what it's like to be intercepted by Champ Bailey. A lot of quarterbacks do. McGahee straight ahead, running room inside the 40 to about the 36.
Now, Greg, Andy Dalton, I'll say this. Robert Ayers, number 91, splits a double team, and he's actually going to make contact with Andy Dalton just as he's releasing that football. I think that's what accounts for the ball coming up as short as it did. Still, he was really well covered by Champ Bailey. Not sure about the decision. But give Robert Ayers a lot of credit. He's the one that forced that throw coming up short by hitting Andy Dalton as he threw it.
You offensive linemen sometimes get away with murder holding, you know what?
Well, look at the game now, the way they allowed to use
yes
their
or
hands.
no would suffice.
No, the way they are allowed to use their hands, I think the average fan watching this doesn't really, they're not able to discern what's holding and not holding because the use of the hands is there on every single play.
Yeah.
If you obstruct the guy, if you are impeding his progress, then that's supposed to be holding. Now, were they attempting to impede Robert Ayers' progress? They most certainly were.
Yeah.
But they weren't called.
I'd call an arm around the neck an impediment.
That's an impediment, and that was holding.
That much for a first down. Give Robert Ayers credit for getting to Andy Dalton despite all of that. 3rd and 1. 7:47 to play here in the 4th.
You hear everybody say that Willis McGahee is a heavy back. It is tough. He delivers a lot of power. This is where a little power comes in handy.
Whistles. False start. They'll go from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6.
False start. Offense. Number 78. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
And that's Ryan Clady, the fine left tackle who has started each and every regular season game since he was drafted out of Boise State.
He's the best player on that offensive line and one of the best left tackles in football. But that was really costly.
58.
As they say, that penalty changes everything.
Easy. Linda. Solid. Yeah.
Manning, quick pass, complete, first down. Stokely inside the 30 to about the 26.
Well, to say these two know each other would be a gross understatement. Brandon Stokely in his 14th year, He's still got some quicks back to the inside. Chris Crocker had no chance of staying with him. And again, a high percentage quick throw. Let an athlete do what he can do after he catches it. Nice conversion.
Watch that safety. Oh, okay.
Well, he has earned every yard that he's picked up here today. I want to remind you, coming up time permitting after the game, the NFL Today update presented by Farmers Insurance. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower. All the latest NFL scores and highlights, and of course still to come here on CBS. Doubleheader action from the Meadowlands as the New York Giants host Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And Manning and the Broncos are grinding away on the clock. Peyton in no hurry to snap this one.
McGahee inside the 20.
And still going.
To about the 17.5-yard line. Looks to be about a yard or so short of a first down. And the clock moves up on 5.5 minutes to play.
Peyton doesn't have to snap this ball until we're down around the 5-minute mark. And let me tell you, he'll be in no hurry to do so. We'll leave the play clock up here. Keep an eye on it. I don't think we'll be seeing Manning snapping that with 15 seconds left on the clock. He's going to milk every second out of this deal.
Hey, one, tilt. Take him. Hey, Jungle.
Two. McGahee again, first down, inside the 10. It'll be first and goal at the 5.
You lean on them, you lean on them long enough, all of a sudden, some cracks start to appear. And that's what's happened. This Cincinnati defense against the run has been so good all day. And now when it really counts, the Broncos are able to find some creases in there. Look at Willis McGahee drive those legs. And again, last snap came at 2 seconds. Wouldn't be looking for this one to come outside of 5.
Goal. Willis McGahee once again for a yard. We were talking with Willis, Dan, about that devastating knee injury that he suffered a couple of years ago, and the fact that he has come back from that and played so well is nothing short of amazing.
No, it really is, and it's a testament to how hard he worked. And I'll tell you one thing, Greg, here, this for Cincinnati, if they can force a field goal, do the math, it's a huge deal. If they can force Denver, if they can stop them and only give up a field goal here, and only be behind by a touchdown.
Easy. There you go, 1, 2, 3.
Second and goal. Manning throwing far side. It is. Oh, what a grab! Grab made by Eric Decker. We have a penalty marker down.
And it's interference.
And it's interference.
Against Cincinnati.
Four-yard touchdown pass for Manning.
Interference, defense, number 23. Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Well, that's Terrence Newman, who's had the big day with a pair of interceptions already. Again, what a throw by Manning, and what a superior grab. I mean, this is just one-on-one all the way. Manning likes the matchup. And the problem with Newman, he didn't know where the football was, and Eric Decker climbed the ladder, went up and got it.
That's just winning a battle, one-on-one. Prater with the extra point. It is good. 3:36 to play here in the fourth quarter, and Denver has moved its lead now to 11 at 31-20.
Yeah, it's a two-score lead now. And again, Eric Decker, he competed for the football. He's got the awareness of where it is, and it could not have been put in a better place by Peyton Manning. And you know Peyton Manning, he is angry about the 2 interceptions, but he knows the difference between a field goal to end that drive and a touchdown to end that drive, and what it does in terms of going after a Denver win. It doesn't guarantee one. 3.5 minutes in the NFL is a long time.
Peyton Manning, 291 yards and 3 touchdowns on the day.
You know, Greg, we're in a critical situation. I want to finish up what you mentioned about Willis McGahee and his injury. When we were talking to him, I asked him if he saw the injury to Marcus Lattimore, the great running back from South Carolina. And he said, no, I don't want to see it. And I said, you know, if I was Marcus Lattimore, I'd look at you and look at your injury and say, that's what I'd like to. And he said, I've texted him. I've reached out to him. And if he wants to talk about it sometime, I'd be more than willing to do it. But I thought that was a class thing for Willis McGahee to do.
Man who knows how the youngster has to be feeling these days. Raiders kick. Gonna bounce this one up the middle of the field. Picked off inside the 25-yard line and returned close to the 30 by Chris Presley. Hey, tomorrow, Barney has a new wingman. Catch a new How I Met Your Mother tomorrow only. CBS.
Well, 11 points translates into a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, an onside kick, and a field goal to force overtime. I know that's asking a lot, but Andy Dalton has shown that he can move this team.
We were talking with Peyton Manning yesterday. He's well aware that Eli, his brother, meets these Bengals next week.
Go 26, go 26. Lady. Yeah.
Dalton, far side of the field. That's complete. And this is Hawkins, and Hawkins out of bounds. Boy, do these Denver Broncos excel in the fourth quarter. They have now outscored the opposition by 83 points in the final quarter of games this season.
You Cincinnati fans, you're right. You get to see Eli and the Giants next week. You also get to see Eli and the Giants in about half an hour as they tee it up at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How's that for a shameless promo?
Kind of a sneak preview. On 2nd and 3, Dolphin throwing. Oh, what a catch by Jermaine Grisham.
One-handed.
14 yards and a beauty.
Well, that's Gresham's 5th reception, and he's on the verge of going over 100 yards. How about that? Never did get his right hand on the football.
First down, Dalton. Over the middle and on through Leonard coming out of the backfield.
Oh, and he was open, too.
Lots of green grass in front of him.
Yeah, Brian Leonard was open.
Just under 3 minutes to play here in the fourth, and there are the numbers for the quarterbacks today.
Hey, team.
On 2nd and 10, Dalton throwing and has his man at the 40-yard line. That's Gresham again. And fighting him for the ball is Mike Adams, but the whistle had blown.
But the clock continues to run. Cincinnati with a couple timeouts remaining. Taking the officials a while to get the ball spotted. They got to figure out whether or not this is a first down. And finally, Scott Green stops the clock and calls for a measurement. But that cost, they're deciding whether to measure or not. Looked like it cost the Bengals about 5 seconds or so.
Marvin Lewis staring down the barrel of a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, a 4-game losing streak with a bye stuck in the middle of it. Although again, this is a Cincinnati offense. I'm not trying to oversell the end of this game, but this game is far from being in the books.
That is enough for a first down, says Scott Green.
All of a sudden, if Cincinnati's able to get a touchdown on this drive, things are going to get really interesting. And some of those folks on the way out might have to hear about it later, but first things first, they got to get a touchdown. Sophomore slump, Andy taking criticism, whatever you want to call it. There is so much to like about Andy Dalton. and what he has brought to the Cincinnati Bengals, drafted in the second round. And I thought the best line I heard in a long time about Andy Dalton was said by former Indianapolis president Bill Polian, when he said, if I'd have drafted...
It was a completed pass.
We're going to challenge whether this was a... He said, if I'd have drafted Andy Dalton, I'd probably still be running the Indianapolis Colts. Well,
So
Scott
for
Green,
the first time today, Scott Green is going to go under the hood and take a look at this play.
I think that he took enough steps. Now, there's no question that when he hits the ground, the ball comes loose. Yeah,
But they're taking it.
yeah. And now,
They're
they're
see
also...
where this ball needs to be spotted.
It seems to me that Gresham committed an act common to the game of football that made it a catch before he ended up hitting the ground. And now, of course, the spot comes into play.
So that is what they are looking at over on the sideline. And, we saw the official line that up right at the 40-yard line, but the placement of the ball is across the 40.
All right, we're being told that Denver has what they're challenging is the exact spot. But
And watch the official at the top of the screen. He just lines up right there at the 40-yard line.
Well, you're two things. Once the referee is under the hood, he's looking at everything. He's looking at every aspect of this play. So, he's looking at whether or not it's a reception. He's looking at the spot. Everything comes into play when the official goes under the hood. So, regardless of what was challenged, it's all in play when Scott Green is in there looking at it. It looked to me when Gresham caught the football, and where he first catches the football is right on the 30.
The 40.
The 40, rather.
And a couple of steps backward, and then the ball comes out there.
Right. He's right. Maybe just a hair past the 40, but he's certainly not to the 39. I don't think there's, and that looks like you look where that official comes in and stands. That looks to me to be pretty darn accurate.
Yeah, be about right.
Right about where he caught that football. If indeed it's a catch.
But that's not where the football is sitting right now.
No, it's about
a half yard.
It's about 2 feet, 18 inches farther than that. You're right.
So Scott Green has taken a look, and they have looked upstairs.
After reviewing the play, following the catch, the receiver's forward progress was stopped at the 39.5-yard line. It will be short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and a half a yard at the 39.5-yard line.
I think that is a very judicious application of what he saw.
That's the first time in weeks you've used judicious.
Well, first of all, I mean, I'm glad they applied the fact that it was a catch, because even though he hit the ground and the ball came loose, I thought that he had the ball long enough, took enough. They say if you do an act common to the game of football, well, he was fighting for yards, and that made it a reception.
Pittsburgh and the Giants still to come. Doubleheader day here on CBS. 3rd and 1 for Dalton and the Bengals. Brian Leonard. Whoa, he may not have gotten there.
Whoa, I don't think he did.
And in fact, he may have lost a little bit.
Let's see where they sit this football. Yeah, they sit it all the way back on the 40.
So 4th and 1. And once again, this time they get the first down all the way to the 35. And with that, we come up to the 2-minute warning. The Denver Broncos with a 31-20 lead. Cincinnati still with hopes of climbing back into this thing. We'll be back to Cincinnati right after this. It has been a most entertaining game here in Cincinnati. 2 minutes to play. We are not done yet. Andy Dalton and the Bengals from their own 35-yard line. Cincinnati with 2 timeouts. Dalton on the move, throws complete inside the 30 to the 27 is Brian Leonard.
And again, we got a good look at Andy Dalton extending a play with his legs. Something his offensive coordinator, Jay Gruden, has told him, I want you to do more of it. Big plays happen when you get out of the pocket and force the coverage in breaking down.
Dalton over the middle. Green inside the 20. It'll be a first down. Peyton Manning has thrown 3 touchdown passes today. He's also been picked twice. Dalton. That's down. That'll stop the clock at 1:12.
I think Derek Wolfe got his hands on that.
Derek Wolfe played his college football here at the University of Cincinnati. 2nd-round draft choice. John Fox said they were happy to get him.
Yeah, he started every game for him. That's getting a lot of production from a draft choice where you throw him right out there and let him play from the get-go.
Big East co-defensive player of the year last year. 2nd and 10. Dalton flips it out to Leonard. Leonard looking for running room. Not much there as he gets to about the 17.5-yard line. And we get a timeout on the field.
That's Cincinnati's 2nd timeout here the second half. They're down to 1.
So 1:03 left to play here in regulation. Cincinnati has 1 timeout remaining. The numbers today: Peyton Manning, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Dalton a yard shy of 300 yards throwing. There hasn't been much of a ground game today.
No, Denver running the ball though, setting up their play action. Eric Decker and A.J. Green, both of them just a yard short of the century mark. But you know Peyton Manning upset about the 2 picks, both of them by Terrence Newman. One of them in the end zone.
OG right. Larry! Yeah.
3rd and 8. Dalton running out of time and he goes down.
And again, this Denver pass rush is just so ferocious. Elvis Dumerville in there, Derek Wolfe in there as well. And this time Andy Dalton he had a pretty decent look at things down the field. Chance to set his feet, looks around, can't find anybody. He had tucked it away and he was going down and he knew it. Let's look at the coverage downfield. There's Tony Carter working against Brandon Tate. There goes Gresham across the middle. He's blanketed by Adams and a safety over the top, Jim Leonard. You see what Andy Dalton saw? That's why he got sacked.
So Mike Nugent is on the field here.
Well, you need a touchdown and an extra point and a field goal. And with 4th and really, you need a touchdown, a 2-pointer, and a field goal. So in whatever order, with it being 4th and 14, take the field goal now. You come with the onside kick. You're just going to have to count on getting the touchdown and the 2-pointer the next one, if you get it.
Nugent has missed from 46, made it from 28 and 49. This one from 41 is good.
And Cincinnati had no choice but to go ahead and kick that field goal with 4th and 14.
Let's catch everyone up on what's happened so far today. It's a pretty entertaining game here.
Yeah, we've had Cincinnati got the lead on this run by Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. There's the surge. It puts him then on a rollout. How about Peyton Manning finding Joel Dreesen? They took the lead. And then Champ Bailey intercepts Andy Dalton when he was hurt. And that led to this throw from Manning to Eric Decker. And a great catch by Decker. And it was kudos to Cincinnati and how hard they have played. Of course, they're up against it. They've lost 3 in a row. This week they're entertaining Peyton and the Broncos. Next week they get Eli and the Giants. And the fact of the matter is, for Cincinnati, if they don't win at least one of these two games, they're going to be 3-6, and you know the chances of making the playoffs are tough.
And we are looking at an onside kick attempt upcoming from the Bengals, and everybody, save one, up on the front lines.
So many
for the
options.
Denver Broncos.
So many options. And remember how the NFL changed the rules a couple years ago. You got to keep at least 4 guys on one side of the football. That's a player safety issue where you can't overload anybody, but you drive it into the ground and hop it. Do you pooch it over the top?
Ball's got to go 10 yards and we get a whistle. And a timeout. Denver uses one of its 3 timeouts remaining. A reminder, coming up next, Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Eli Manning and the New York Giants coming up next year on CBS. And again, that very, very unique situation where the Pittsburgh Steelers arriving by plane this morning.
Yep. We got a good look last night in that LSU-Alabama game about the ball having to go 10 yards, and what can look like a really good play is ruined if, in this situation, the kicker hit the ball, touched it before it went 10 yards. That's another option. The Nugent can try to kick it to himself.
I got a question. How many times do you have to do that before you learn?
Yeah, but that the kicker kicking it to himself, that works if you take a team by surprise. There's no surprise here on this onside kick. This is a foregone conclusion.
Nugent will change direction, go straight ahead, and grabbed at the 50-yard line by David Bruton, a defensive back, and a little shoving and pushing, but at the bottom of it all, it looks like it's going to be Denver football, and it is.
Well, they certainly had it to start with. Sir John Fox was looking for a signal a little quicker than that from the officiating crew that we recovered that football. Again, Mike Nugent after a little trickeration. And that's a pretty easy recovery by Bruton. And I don't think that's what Marvin was looking for. I think he wanted it to be contested a little more than that.
And Cincinnati unable to stop the clock now, and Manning will take a couple of kneel downs. And as Kenny Stabler used to say, it's called win the game.
Well, for Manning and the Broncos, it's life on the road. If you include this game, 5 of their 7 are going to be on the road. You know, they got to come here to Cincinnati. Next week they go to Carolina. They go home for the Chargers and back to Kansas City. Recognize that guy. Executive Vice President of Football, John Elway. Then they got a couple tough games. They got to go to Oakland. Then they have to go to Baltimore. The only team on the back end of their schedule with a winning record.
Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos coming up winners 31-23.